What's that noise in the background?
It might be because Gianluca is outside. Hey, we are live. We are live, by the way, here on another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. We are connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world. I can't tell you guys how many hundreds of times I have watched that Jorginho penalty. It's been on loop in my brain for the past 30 hours, however long it's been. Such a sweet moment. The Azzurri are headed to the finals. We now have the opponent set, and we will get into the method, the Academy Award performance from Raheem Sterling that got England into the final as well. And we have to play them in Wembley, which is not going to be a walk in the park. So it's going to be Italy, England, Sunday, Euro 2020 final. Happy to bring in a loaded panel today of Italian football fans. And, you know, we all, barring two of us, because we do have two Milanisti on the panel, but outside of that, we all cheer for different clubs. None of that matters, though, when we all unite with the Azzurri. Alex Donno, alongside, as always, my co-host, Jerry Mancini. Jerry, I know that you were defending Ciro yesterday, and I respect the one-man army that you had on Twitter the other day. How you doing, sir? How you relishing that victory?
I hope he scores on Sunday. I think if he ever wants to like redeem himself, well, not for me, but for most haters and just in general, I think the prime time for him to just like get his fans behind him is a goal versus England. I think it would erase everything. That's just my opinion personally. It's like a redemption kind of thing, especially like the one team that Italy has been hating through I think more than Portugal or anybody during these Euros. So I know we'll talk more about the lineups and everything, but overall, I think England were lucky today. Don't get me wrong; they did play very well today. This game should have been decided into shootout, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, it happens in all sports with replays. Let's be honest, guys. That's just the common error of every sport, from the NFL to the NHL to whatever it may be. Replays has never been always correct when it should be, because there's enough evidence to provide the right solution. But we continue with this saga. And today it's with England versus Denmark.
No doubt about that. Let's introduce our all-star panel on this episode. This man is joining us for the first time. Honestly, it's long overdue. He does an awesome job, not only writing for The Athletic, but on the State of Play pod, which is excellent. Martino Puccio is with us. Martino, welcome to the Calcio Connection, sir. How you doing?
Thank you. Finally glad to be here. Probably got 50 invites from Jerry over the course of the last 6 months or so. So this is the first one to go through. So I'm happy to be here with everyone as well.
We're happy to have you, sir. Bringing back first time in a little bit. We've seen his wonderful bearded face gracing our airwaves before, and he is back. Rafa is with us. Rafa Rispo, of course, you know him as Rafa Napoli from Far From Vesuvius. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, guys. I'm good. Thank you very much for having me on. Pleasure to come on and talk about Italia with you guys and actually be on the same page for once, you know?
Yeah, we don't have to bicker and argue like we usually do when we bring in fans from all sorts of clubs. It's nice. we can even all five of us probably for the first time ever, we're all supporting Chiellini. We're even supporting Bonucci. It's crazy.
Yes. It's funny because yesterday when he was laughing up and down with Jordi Alba before the penalty kicks, I was just such joy. I was like, I love this guy Chiellini. Look, I love it. I absolutely love it. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, this son of a B Juventino mother F, and it's like, you know, I can't believe it. I when they don the shirt and they put the tricolore on and they put the Azzurri on, I don't care what club they play for. I really don't. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. Even Chiesa, you beautiful Juventino bastardo, you know, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is, man.
And Chiesa was so good in that match. I mean, the goal he scored was beautiful, created some dangerous attacking plays. I thought he was really excellent. The fifth member of our panel, he's becoming a resident on the show. Second straight time. We're happy to have him back. It means he must be doing something good. Gianluca Lombardi, welcome back to the panel, sir. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you for having me back. I'm excited. The game was amazing. I think, Italy's been doing such a wonderful job. Thank you for having me. I look forward to talking about Calcio here, about the Azzurri. So, thank you for having me.
Dude, and guys, before we dive headfirst into Italy's dramatic penalty kick victory, I want to talk about a little bit about what transpired on the pitch today in the other semifinal, England versus Denmark, and why it makes me a little bit concerned. I know it's going to be a different referee, but still, you get concerned about the final coming up on Sunday, seeing England get a hometown call like they got on that Raheem Sterling dive for, that game-saving penalty kick, game-winning penalty kick. It turned out to be that Harry Kane took and struck it. It's like, I don't understand why we go through this whole song and dance of VAR when if you actually were studying the replay correctly, I can understand in live time when it's such a quick play, I can understand how you can get that wrong on the pitch. But then the whole point of going to the video review is you get the benefit of so many different camera angles. You get the benefit of the super slow-mo replay. And in the money angle where you can clearly see, I think it was the angle that was like right behind Sterling, where you could clearly see whether or not contact took place before he was heading to the ground. It was clear as day that contact did not take him to the ground. He was already on his way down before there was very minimal, if any, contact on the way down. And I don't know how you can study that and look at that and still come up with upholding that penalty. I mean, to me, it's like, what's even the point of having VAR? I mean, Martino, how did you see it? And how much does this concern you that having to play the final this Sunday at Wembley, we could see some calls like that this weekend?
First, I'm not concerned about it. I don't think it was the biggest robbery I've ever seen. I thought it was incredibly soft. And honestly, I wasn't surprised it didn't get reversed. I didn't expect it to. You never get calls that are, when it's live like that and the ref makes a decision where, it's not close. But to him in live time, as you mentioned, it's going to look like that because he's probably not even caring about, oh, look, his momentum's taking him forward. It's like, okay, he might get hit and go down here. What kind of call do I have to make? And I'm sure there could have been some external pressure, he probably thought, from the fans saying, if I don't call this a penalty, like this is going to be a terrible thing, which you don't obviously want, and that shouldn't be a factor for a decision like that. But it's never going to get reversed when it's not that clear and obvious. And even on the ESPN broadcast over here, Jerry and Gianluca don't get the same one up north, but Stuart Robson and Ian Dark were kind of like, oh, look, there's a contact right there. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's barely anything.
Yeah.
And even if his momentum wasn't taking him over, that contact's nothing. There was more contact on the other non-penalty with Harry Kane, even though Harry Kane fouled the Danish defender. I can't remember who it was. But again, I wasn't that shocked for it. And I've seen worse calls, especially in the league we watch all the time. So I'm not too concerned about Sunday in regards to the call. But England was fortunate because even in the second half of extra time, if Denmark even put one decent cross in on those corners, they had a real opportunity to score. I thought those were just terrible set pieces by them. So I mean, England lucked out, but I like our chances Sunday.
Yeah, so do I, honestly, and I hope that what I said in the build-up there does not get interpreted by folks who watch this and listen to this as me like laying out excuses already for Sunday. Because guys, I don't feel a need to lay out excuses because I absolutely think that Italy can win this game. And if Italy don't win this game, I just hope it's a situation where they have only themselves to blame for that. Because listen, guess what? I mean, for a lot of that matchup with Spain, at least as far as possession in the build-up, Italy did get outplayed. They had a hard time breaking through Spain's press, particularly in the first half. So there are certainly things the Italians can do better in the final on Sunday. But before we fully get into that, I want everybody's take on England going through today. Gianluca, how did you feel about that performance today by England? Your thoughts on the penalty and how concerned are you about this English side?
I think England played a great game, fast paced. They looked very well organized. The penalty was really soft. Looking at it, as you said, from the referee's angle, right when it happened, I'm like, that's a penalty for sure, 100%. Then going into VAR, we see that there was not even like it was a brush of the leg kind of contact. Um, would I give the penalty in a game like that? Probably not. But it was very close to call, I think. Kind of like Martino said, even with a lot of those English fans kind of could press the ref to make that call as a penalty. But we don't like to say things like that, or we don't like that happening to a ref. But I've heard that before, that happening with fans in the stadium as well. But unfortunately, for Denmark, the English got the PK and they got knocked out. But England was a good team today.
And I do feel bad, for Denmark to go out in such a close game on a call like that, because everybody has been following. And for the most part, if Denmark is not your first team, it's been most people's second team after what happened to Eriksson in the group stage. So it's tough to see them go out like this. Rafa, how did you feel about everything transpired today for England and your concern over them as the finals opponent?
I'm not terribly concerned as opponents in the final for them. You don't make it to the final unless you're Portugal in 2016 and do it unconvincingly. I mean, I think that England has done what they had to do in order to get to the final. I heard this before, and I'll say it because it really did stick with me. In tournament football and tournament culture soccer, you don't necessarily need to play that beautiful game. Like Italy has been so great. They've been entertaining. Mancini said it from minute one. We want to entertain, and get the job done as well. But, England, I can't say they've entertained quite well. They've scraped, results together. You go back and look at their results. They barely beat, Croatia. They didn't beat Scotland. They barely beat the Czech Republic. They barely beat Germany. It took them 75 minutes to beat Germany. And, they scored 2 on them, but unconvincingly, if you ask me. And then when they get to the Ukraine, they thrashed the Ukraine 4-0. And then they needed an own goal and a terrible, terrible penalty decision, if you ask me, to scrape by a winded, tired, overachieving, but with a lot of heart, Denmark, who probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. I'm not discrediting what Denmark did. I absolutely love the story. I love their play. I love their determination. It was wonderful to see. And had Italy not been in this final, I would have been going for Denmark. Like you guys said, everyone's second team. Usually it's Belgium for Mertens, but I really, really did enjoy Denmark. But at the end of the day, you got to get the results. So it doesn't matter how it happens. It happens. And England did that job. They just got scored on for the first time today. Yeah, they went down, which was great to see. The team, they can go down, and we haven't gone down yet in the tournament. We have just, we've been scored on, but we haven't been behind. So I feel like if we can get to the final and score first, England are done. I don't think they'll have it. As far as the penalty from today, here's my view. Immobile could dive in the box, and we're a bunch of diving, conniving, cretins. Sterling can dive and get himself a penalty, and they call it and they win because of it, and it's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to get the call, but when Immobile dives in the box, a lot of people are complaining about that dive in the box, yet the referee didn't give us the call, whether it was a dive or a foul or non-foul. The play didn't stop. Play continued. Everyone continued playing, and we scored. Right. So, to me, it's not an excuse. I don't think anybody could really like discredit what we've done. A lot of people say who have we beat. Well, let's take a look at who England beat on the way in. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm getting a little off topic here, but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, for me, not even like as an outsider, if I were an outsider, I'd still have my money on Italy winning this whole thing. I just don't think England have been convincing enough. They, like I said, they got to the final, they did what they had to do, and that's great. But now they have to play a team who convinced everyone when nobody picked them that this is a team that's going to win. So it's going to be a tough ask. I know it's at Wembley. I know there's going to be a lot of English people, but you know what? There's a lot of Italians that live in England too that will be at this match. And by any means, it's going to be easy for England just because they have the bookies have them as the favorites or they're home. I really do feel like this is Italy's tournament to lift the trophy, and it's special because we after not making the World Cup in 2018, you go out and win the Euros. I mean, it's that much special. My kids ask me, what would be better, Daddy, the World Cup in 2006 or if Italy wins this Euro? And I told them, well, obviously, because I'm with you guys now. I didn't have them when I was younger. When I'm with you guys, this will be better. But I truly do feel like this will be just as special as that World Cup because of the fact that we had so much adversity against us for this. And to make it out as winners would be truly special.
That is so well said. And honestly, I think that this is going to be a matchup between the two teams who have been covered on opposite sides of the spectrum, whereas England are the media darling. And obviously, and I know I can speak for Martino, and I'm sure it's probably similar for you guys in Canada, that so much of the Euro coverage we get comes through an English lens. So there just tends to be this favoritism towards that side. And there was so much doubt on Italy. Like you said so well, Ralph, everyone's like, with the long unbeaten streak, well, who have they really played? Who have they really beaten? So these two teams have been covered on opposite sides of the spectrum. I want to give Jerry the last word on England today. Jerry, what did you think about the call and about England advancing?
Well, to piggyback on Rafa, as much as I have predicted Italy to win the whole tournament when we did our preview, and as much as we think that England have been good or bad, it's one game. So it could be the worst game for Italy, knock on wood, because it's not like hockey where it's 7 games and you can always rebound after 2 bad games and you can try to regain that momentum. You go into one game and you don't know what to expect. So as what we think England may not be as good as Italy, we may end up having the match all over again between Spain and Italy, where Spain was the better side, and we'll have to figure something out to overcome a better team. So we don't know, but I agree that Italy should be the better team heading into this match. I think the matchup in the midfield alone is where it will benefit them. I don't care about the back end. I don't care about the front. As we've seen in every single game, Italy is only strong when their midfield is strong. And when their midfield is weak, they're weak. Like that, it's simple as that. We can say what Immobile is, we can say what our wingers are, but they need the service starting from the midfield, and that was the area of concern against Spain. Credit to Pedri and Busquets, where they dominated against a Italian midfield who has been the best probably in all of Euros. Mm-hmm. So for me, you got a Barella, you got a Jorginho, and you got a Verratti, who are going to be coming out much stronger prior to the last game. Who do you have in midfield for England? You got some guy named Uncle Ben's Rice, and fucking
he's good.
I think he's
Yorkshire Pirlo.
I'm not gonna.
That's right.
I'm not gonna criticize him because I don't watch him enough to criticize him. But what I've been reading is mixed. Some people, the English people, love him for some reason. The Chelsea fans hate him
because he's English.
Yeah,
Only
probably.
reason.
Yeah, but like they rate him so highly. Like, is he that talented and special? Because I didn't see anything great today. I don't gonna shit on him because obviously if he was shit, he wouldn't be in the league. But I just don't like to shit on if I don't have my facts straight. That's all. Who else do they have in the midfield along with Rice? That's how much I know about. Or yeah, they'll have. What's his name?
Calvin Phillips is a guy
Yeah.
today.
I don't mind him. He's okay. But they got what's the other guy from Aston Villa?
Yeah, Grealish.
Yeah, I hope he starts on the bench again. These guys are so stupid. Honestly, I hope he starts on the bench. That is the dumbest. I hope they bench him because a guy like Jack Grealish should be starting against Italy for what he can do. He would cause a lot of problems. And if he's on the bench, that benefits Italy big time because I don't like the notion of a super sub. That's just me personally, because you're hoping that he comes in the 70th minute and can make an impact in 20 minutes, and you lost out on him on 70 minutes, and God forbid you're down a goal or two now. So you don't want to be chasing with your best players on the bench, and that's why I like Chiesa starting in the last two games. I think it's really opened up the game much more for Italy. Look how it's been beneficial. As for the goal that England scored, it's bullshit. I'm gonna say right now, it's all fucking bullshit.
I knew you wouldn't miss words.
It's fucking bullshit. It's crap. It's not because I love Immobile. I can be biased at times. I'm the first to admit it. I think I'm probably like one of the very few who have humility on Twitter and will be honest and know that I'm biased and know that I'm wrong. But in the instance of this, how can the English fans all hate on Immobile for rolling around and getting up after the goal celebration when Raheem Sterling's no better and dies like a Superman? Like come on, man. And then on top of that, the goalkeeper has a laser in his eyes when they're taking the shot. And the last thing is two balls on a field. And I've seen mixed reviews where they don't have to stop the play if there's two balls on the field. And I've seen a lot of people say that they have to stop it. So here's a question. If you don't have to stop it, why 2 minutes later, when you throw the ball in and there's another ball on the field, do they have to make you retake the throw in then? There's two balls in place. There shouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't they just knock it away then and you continue the play? I don't see no difference. That's just me. If a throw-in has to be retaken with a second ball in play, that should be stopped as a dead play. I know people are going to say, well, it didn't interfere with Raheem Sterling in the play and he still was able to get around it. That's not the point. What about the defender who gets distracted?
When the ball's in play on a throw and it doesn't affect the throw either.
Yeah. True.
I'm just saying. I saw somebody call me out on it. I was like, okay, but what about a throw-in?
But there have been plenty of instances where a ball is on the pitch and has nothing to do with the play, is not interfering in the play, but the ref will blow the whistle and stop, take the throw-in again because there's this ball on the pitch. You know, if like you said, Jerry, if it's not interfering in the play, then just have one of the guys kick it out, or if it's on the other end, have the ball person come over and pick it up really fast. If it's not in the way, you know what I mean? So you're 100% right. There's so many times where you see, no, we got to take this again. There's a ball on the pitch down the freaking pitch about 10 yards out. You know what I mean? So you're right. There's a lot of little things that some people don't see, and then they'll try to go ahead and make excuses for because they're English and that's what they want to do. And when it happens to other teams and other players and other nations, God forbid it happens to anyone else, but when it happens to a certain team or people that people support this certain nation, it's okay, it's just part of the game. You know what I mean? They don't say you can't complain about one thing elsewhere, and then when it happens to you, just go whatever. You can't do it. It's what's
double standard.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly, Martino. Double standard. Exactly, man.
It's hypocrisy.
I don't know. I just don't like the slander that Immobile got, and then all of a sudden the English fans all of a sudden it's like Raheem Sterling did nothing wrong. It's just
Who has a history of
But
diving
Immobile
too?
dived, but Immobile,
Yeah.
Immobile dived, and they didn't call the freaking call. What do
Yeah,
you
it didn't.
want?
It didn't
Like, I
affect
can
anything. I mean,
understand
it was a
Yeah.
funny video clip because you saw him.
he actually does get fouled. In defense, he does get fouled. He does.
He just really stole it. He
Just
made a
selling
meal
it,
out of
yeah.
it.
He did get fouled. I think that had it gone to review, he would have got the penalty because you saw the cleats go high into him. But because they scored, they didn't have to look at it.
Yeah.
And I just think that he should have just stayed on the floor, in my opinion. I'll always say that.
Yeah,
but
all it was a funny video clip because he was rolling around like he was really hurt, and then you see him get up and smile right after the goal is scored by Barella, and that's why it became a freaking meme after that. But I wanted to. It's funny. I was just checking this, and I want to get Martino's take on this because he does a great job, covering the sport from a betting angle for The Athletic, and he and I talk betting odds a lot. I guess I can't speak for him. I'm a degenerate. I don't know if I can speak for Martino on that, but it's funny because obviously we've only known for a few hours that England were going to be on the other side of that final. But the betting odds are actually a lot closer right now. I'm looking at Bovada. They're a lot closer right now than I thought they would be, but I'm guessing over the next couple of days, a lot of money's going to come in on England because that's usually the way this goes. So there's no spread. It's a pick 'em. Italy are, I guess, the slight dog in the money line, very slight at plus 195. England at plus 165. Plus 205 for the draw. So where do you think this is going to go, Martino? Are you like me that it's more money it's definitely going to come in on England over the next couple days?
I think. Well, those are bigger odds than what BetMGM has because they have Italy at 180 and then England's at 170. So it's a little closer there.
Oh wow, even closer.
Yeah. So I think obviously the general public, we know how they are over here. And Rafa is like, we live in the perfect area that you could get the pulse of what the American people are like. You go into New York City at the football factory where, Milan Club New York City, always go watch the games. I've seen games there. There's a big contingency of PSG fans. I never met a French person in my life over here. I'll be honest with you. I think I knew one guy, but he was an Arsenal fan because of Thierry Henry. So I don't know where the PSG contingency comes from. So it's a bandwagon. It's all relatively fresh. You know how well NBC Sports does a great job with the Premier League. It's always hyped like that. Anytime anything is hyped with England, I always draw parallels between England and Mexico too, because a lot of average casual fans think Mexico is like one of the greatest countries in the world at football. They're really not. They're terrible, to be quite honest with you, in the grand scheme of things. So that's the American people are stupid. So they're going to put their money on England, and I'll gladly take it. But I do think there's going to be a certain point where people are seeing like, okay, there's way too many. England's way too big of a favorite here. People are going to start betting Italy because it's 33 games in a row now. How could you not bet on them? Because you look like an idiot if you don't. And it's always funny because they always do it over here. They always do it. Anytime they bring up the biggest footballing nations, it's the Netherlands, it's Portugal, two countries who've never won a World Cup. They always have England tossed in there, rightfully Germany, rightfully Brazil, and they'll toss in Argentina at times. But we're talking about a team that has 4 World Cups. It's so lazy. And even then, they make finals too. Even when it's in down times, they make it deep runs into tournaments. Like 2008, they almost beat one of the greatest teams of all time on penalties when they didn't have, I'm pretty sure Pirlo didn't even play in that game.
Yeah.
In 2012, we weren't even supposed to be there. It's just, for me, it's just the funny thing that always happens. And the easiest way to put it is just we're the San Antonio Spurs of the sport. And I'll take it any time because if you don't want to bet on us, that probably means we're going to win. So I'm excited for that.
And I think the Spurs analogy works here as well, Marty, like in a micro sense also, because when the Spurs had their dynasty, which was like a very long dynasty, and they had great players, don't get me wrong, but they weren't the flashiest players, right? It's the same way you look at Italy. I mean, you don't have anybody right now scoring 5-6 goals in the same tournament. I mean, we certainly rate Italy's midfielders. But you had that Ogden column for ESPN FC a couple days ago saying that there's not a single elite midfielder in the bunch, which is surprising to me. So I mean, I see the way that people look at Italy's players, and there's no doubt The whole is better than the sum of all the individual parts, and it's an unbelievable coaching job by Mancini, and there's tremendous chemistry among these players, so they really outperform like the actual level of the players themselves, which is kind of nice to see. So let's start to get into how we look at this final. I want to bring you into this one, Gianluca, because I know that you certainly are a good man for tactical breakdowns and everything. How bullish are you on this Italy side to finish the job? I mean, a lot of people didn't see them even getting nearly this far. I'll throw myself under the bus a little bit. I had said in our episode before the tournament started, I thought Italy would be a quarterfinal team, maybe semifinal at the absolute top. I give Jerry credit because Jerry predicted a victory from the beginning. We're one win now away from that. But now that Italy have gotten this far, Gianluca, do you think they finished the job?
It's going to be a really tough matchup against England, especially after today's game. As we've seen, even with Italy back in 2006, it was a slow start. They struggled to get out of the group stages, and then they ended up winning the whole tournament. Then again, we see England this year that, they struggled in the beginning, and now they start beating their opponents. Today, they struggled a bit, and if it wasn't for that PK call, maybe they would have been out. But that could have just given them the chance for the golden ticket of winning the whole tournament. But with Mancini as coach, after seeing his tactics against Spain, a few things that I've noticed that he did with putting Insigne up as a false number 9, getting Chiesa onto the left wing, bringing Berardi on the right wing. Things that, typically you would say, okay, Insigne out, Belotti in right away. He made Insigne play up there for a while until he said, okay, let's put Belotti in. So I think Mancini really knows what he's doing. I think by bringing this Italian team to a final, he's a great tactician. He's got a great staff who's supporting him and helping him out. And I think with all he's doing a great job. Even on the PKs, I've noticed even the PKs against Spain, that was very, very well put together, and it was tactical, right? Putting Jorginho as the last kicker, Lucatelli as your first kicker. It's like, wow, like just brilliant. I felt like he knew that, let's put Lucatelli out there, take that PK. Even if you miss, it's not too bad. Don't worry about it. Which he did miss, unfortunately, but having Jorginho at the end, one of the best PK kickers in the world, he called it perfectly. And I'll say it again. I think tactically we will have England on lockdown. It's just their pace frightens me a bit.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of pace, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head that would be just matchup wise. The one thing that would concern me most is the pace. And it's funny you brought up the penalty shootout, and I agree with you. Jorginho is an absolute brilliant penalty kick taker. On the flip side of it, with Spain, I mean, it's hard for me to imagine how Alvaro Morata even got a green light to take a PK in that shootout. I mean, and he must have, because the way that the Spanish coach was doing it was like he was letting players like volunteer, whereas Mancini, he knew exactly who he wanted to take penalties. So I guess Morata must have volunteered because he's probably thinking, I scored in this match. It was a nice goal. I was able to get us to extra time in the first place. People have been dogging me, and obviously you get to the darker side of being a football fan, like people giving this guy death threats and stuff, even prior to the PK. It's disgusting. It's one of the most horrific things, how people can take sports that seriously. It's, I cover sports for a living, and I still find it hard to believe that people get that worked up. It is what it is. But, in the case of Morata, who had missed a PK already earlier in this tournament, for him to even step up and take that, I guess it was ballsy. He was probably thinking, I can go from being, a guy who's been ripped and made fun of, I've become a meme this whole tournament. And if I can do this today, where I've already scored in regulation and I can potentially maybe ice it in the P kick shootout, I can become a legend. unfortunately for him, not unfortunately for us, of course, but unfortunately for him, it didn't work out that way. But him even taking that PK, I thought, oh, that's not a good idea.
I want to piggyback on that.
Go ahead.
I think another reason why Belotti starts on the bench is because he's a better penalty taker than Immobile. And I think if Immobile was in the situation of having to take a shot from the spot versus Spain, I'm not confident in him. I'll be honest. He was 4 for 8, I believe, in Serie A this season. He was really not that strong in that category. And maybe Roberto Mancini did his homework and saw that Belotti can take penalties much better compared to Immobile. And that's an area where he calls him off the bench. He brings him on in the 80th minute like he did against Spain and again against Austria. And he has a guy in the top in his 5 selection who can perform better in that area. As much as I like Immobile and I rate him all the time, that's one area where you don't want maybe him on the bench and you want him as your top 5 selection. That's just me though. Like, I think Belotti is a much better penalty taker compared to Immobile. That you saw the
shot was great.
Yeah, the shot was. I don't think Immobile would have done better than that. I think he would have done. I honestly think he would have got stopped somehow because. But the problem with Immobile, he doesn't go with accuracy. He goes with power. And when you go with power, you're either going to sail over the net or hope that the goalkeeper goes the wrong way. And it doesn't always work for you. I give credit to that with Belotti, though. And I think that's a good strategy by Mancini.
Also fresh legs, Jer, right?
No, for sure. But you can say that for Immobile too. If you start Belotti over Immobile, like I agree with that point where you do have fresh legs coming in the 80th minute. Absolutely, that's always going to be the case in extra time. But I think the scenario though is it's beyond that. I think that he's already considering that I need Belotti over Immobile for circumstances of why and penalty shootout. And think about what people are saying. Oh, Immobile can come off the bench and just be as effective as Belotti, but
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, personally.
I don't think so.
Do you really want to run the risk of him taking a penalty shot? And I know a lot of Lazio fans are going to say, "Well, he's good on penalty shots last season." Yeah, that's last season.
Jerry.
That's last season. That's last season. I don't look at the year before. I looked at this year.
What did he have? 15 penalties last year?
Yeah, and he did well at the spa. I'll give him that. But this year he did bad. And you got to look at how he was this year. You don't look at last year. Last year's out the window. He would have been a perfect penalty taker last summer if that was the Euros. But this is now, and for me, it's just you go. I know we're going to talk about the lineup shortly, but I just wanted to talk about the penalty kick.
Can I just say one more thing on that? That's what a difference of an actual manager is opposed to, just like a coach. And I think that's kind of been brought up before is, coach can do everything right tactically and hit those heads, but only a true manager of emotions understands that, okay, maybe Immobile, I personally think he's a very emotional guy when it comes to stuff like that. And he knows if he is not 100% between the years, because it's obvious he's not, because you can tell with like the little things, it's just not there, right? It's one thing to not finish your chances. It's another thing to not be able to do all the little things that make you such a top player. So I think that's where he hits it so perfectly. And there's such a unified group. Like that picture right before it was either an extra time or right before penalties is like my favorite picture, probably since Cannavaro and Pirlo were like holding each other during the penalty shootout. That's just like my favorite thing. It's just, you could tell he reunited the group like that. You don't go 33 in a row without not being unified,
Right. Martino, same thing with Insigne, dude. Like Insigne came out, and for me, following Napoli, following Insigne all season long for seasons on end, he had his best season with Napoli ever. And even inside of that season, he missed a penalty kick against Juventus in the Supercoppa, and it's just a Supercoppa, right, guys? But you could see it in his face how badly he wanted that, and he didn't come through, and it messed with his head for a little bit. Then finally we play Juventus in Serie A at the San Paolo, and we win 1-0 on an Insigne penalty kick. So Mancini knows, like you said, Martino, where his players' heads are at. there's one thing that I really love about Mancini, and like you said, we'll get to the lineup, but Mancini knows how to line up to start. He knows the kinds of substitutions to make. Like I can rival his substitutions with Lippi substitutions in 2006. I really think that he caught a lot of crap for no reason against Austria, yet I feel like he played that to the T, and he knew what he was doing against Austria, not making the substitution after what he did. See, that's the thing that everyone says, oh, he made the subs too late. He made 2 substitutions in the 67th minute of that game, and one of those players scored a goal in extra time. Okay, and that was Locatelli and Pessina came in. Okay, and then he waited until the 88th minute or 85th minute, whatever it was, to put in, to change the front, to put Chiesa in and to put in, I think it was Chiesa and Berardi, it might have been, or Bellotti, but everyone's saying you waited too long. No, I feel like he played to Austria's tactics and saw that Austria didn't make a single substitution until the 89th minute because of injury. Okay, and now at the 85th minute, it's like, okay, let's pull the plug. Let's make these subs. Going into extra time with 2 more substitution opportunities. Okay, or 1 more anyway, and knowing that in extra time, Austria is going to nail them with 4 subs and 4 fresh legs. And this guy had the wherewithal to wait and put his super sub on the pitch till the 85th minute, knowing this is going to extra time. And everyone destroyed him. A lot of people, I can't say everyone, destroyed him for making those subs too late. Oh, you want to win the game. You want to kill the game off. No, this is knockout football. Knockout football, you have to have in the back of your mind, we may go to extra time, we may go to penalties. He's making these decisions as the players are playing this game. He's not just standing there going like this, 70th minute, okay, let's put this guy on. You know what I mean? He's not a dumb guy. You said it yourself, 33 in a row he didn't do nothing to get him there. He did a lot to get these guys there. 30 different goal scorers since his start. 78 goals since his start. Hadn't lost since freaking November 2018. This guy knows what he's doing. So if he's starting Immobile, there's a reason he's starting Immobile. If he's starting Berardi over Chiesa, there's a reason for that. Now you put Chiesa in. There's a reason for that. Locatelli scored 2 goals against Switzerland. Then we sit him. There's a reason for that. Verratti, he knows what he has in Verratti when he's fully fit. You know, it's just everybody needs to chill and let Mancini just do his thing. Let him do his thing because he knows what he's doing.
Amen. Now, before we we'll wrap it up with lineup predictions and game predictions. Before we get to that, I want to throw a huge shout out to everybody who's been in the chat, interacting. We appreciate all you guys. I'll throw a shout out to Brooklyn Rob, who's down here, lives near me in South Florida, and I always like to shout out Brooklyn Rob because he placed a futures bet before the tournament started on Italy at plus 750. So he's 1 victory away from making a lot of money. And he has actually promised me, because we live, I don't know, like 40, 50 miles apart, he's going to take me for a steak dinner. Now, I've got to be very nice to Brooklyn Rob because I think I pissed him off in recent episodes because I always talk shit about Juventus players, and I don't even do it on purpose. It just happens because I'm so goddamn biased against that club. He's a big Juventino, so he gets mad at me. He was mad at me a couple of episodes ago for picking Belgium. And I wasn't rooting for Belgium, of course, but I did pick Belgium over Italy. Shame on me. So Brooklyn Rob, he has now downgraded my steak dinner to Denny's. And so I'm trying to get him to upgrade it back to a more reasonable establishment.
You got to get that porterhouse back, buddy.
Yes, totally. And listen, and obviously he loves Juventus as much as I hate them, but all fair play because he says give some love to Bernardeschi. His penalty was awesome. That was a beautiful PK. In fact, I've seen like edits on it on social media because it really was a nice penalty kick. So
talk about
I
confidence for a player.
Yeah, no, totally. So I want to go around the table. I mean, I don't think my lineup prediction is not going to get too complicated, guys, because even though I've got a couple minor concerns, but for the most part, once you reach the finals, assuming assuming everybody is as healthy as they were in the semis, I think you dance with the girl who brung you there. I wouldn't necessarily make any changes. Obviously, I thought Martino made a good point about I question Immobile's mental state a little bit. I'd still start him. I actually question Barella's legs a little bit. The guy looks goddamn exhausted, but still, I think I'd probably stick with the same starting 11 that we went with against Spain. So I'll go around the room on that. Jerry, I'll start with you. Do you start the same 11 or do you make any tweaks? Oh, you're on mute still.
Yeah, sorry, I had another window.
No worries.
Do you make any changes? No, you don't. Simple. You don't make experiments now. You do experiments in group stages. You do it if you want, even in the semis, if you want to test it, or if you want to do it in the round of 16, whatever you want to do, man. But you don't do it now. Like now, you've built that chemistry, that cohesiveness throughout the tournament. You've used Insigne with Immobile every single game. You don't take out Immobile and hope that Insigne adapts with Belotti in the final game, or Raspadori. You put in Berardi up front. It's just, I think that was more of a tactical move, if anything, against a Spain side that was kind of probably frustrating Italy. I didn't like the false 9 decision. That was me. I think that Immobile would have benefited the fact that Italy were up 1-0, and he had space finally to work in behind the defense, because they had to like play up higher and try to commit for a goal to get back in the game. When Italy is leading in a game, that benefits Immobile any day of the week, because you're forcing the defense to play higher up and having to commit, especially late in the game. That's where Immobile will drive off any team. The wingers, you go with Chiesa. Chiesa has earned the spot. I would say that either or is fine with me, Berardi or Chiesa in that position, because both have played enough games to kind of like say you either go with A or B. I don't think it's kind of an experiment. You know what you're going to get with either option, so it's not like you're going with the roll of the dice compared to Immobile, who has started all but one game, and along with Insigne has to start as well. Again, same scenario. Has started every game but one against Wales. The back line, you go with Emerson on the left, you go with Di Lorenzo on the right, and then you go with the center backs of Chiellini and Bonucci. And in the midfield, you go Barella, Locatelli,
Jorginho
Verratti. What I think about Locatelli, I always contemplate it. I never rule that decision out, but it's never going to happen. Let's be realistic here. It's always going to be something that fans are going to want Locatelli, because they saw what he was able to do in the group stage. At the end of the day, you go with your best players, regardless of what happened the previous game. You're always going to go with your best 11. And if it doesn't work, you call on plan B, which Mancini has been doing all tournament. Against Spain, what did he do? I think, and to defend Rafa, everybody complained about Mancini making decisions too long against Austria. He did the reverse against Spain and reacted too quickly, and then people got mad at him for overreacting. I didn't like the Ciro Immobile decision. Maybe I'm a little biased, but other than that, he made 4 substitutions before regulation, and considering the fact that you knew that you were going to extra time, could have been a costly decision as well. So, because you ran out of options, you don't know. Whereas against Austria, he played it out really safe, kind of let his players progress in the game, and he got more legs out of his players. So, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, but no one's ever happy because everyone thinks you're a manager, and Roberto Mancini just got there by freaking selling newspapers.
He's only 33 straight unbeaten. I mean, people still question the guy.
And the last thing, Gigi Donnarumma, as much as everybody thought he had a great game, he had a great game, but also a very bad game.
With his feet, you mean, because he made some errant
his
passes.
distribution was terrible.
The first save, everyone's like, oh my God, what an amazing save. He saved Italy. He saved himself, because that started from him. Yeah, he passed the ball. Like, That was my key takeaway of the half. Everybody was calling me out. It was like,
Yeah.
Gigi. I'm like, what are you guys watching? Every play that Spain had an opportunity was started from Gigi. I don't. That's why I said my key takeaway was Gigi was the worst player of the first half because he was our worst enemy, but our hero at the same time. I've seen Milan fans. I'm not gonna prop Milan fans. I've seen Martino talk about this. I've seen Sabrina talk about this. Gigi is the worst with his feet.
And what you're saying with that game he had, it's like saving somebody from a fire that you started. It's like, I set the building on fire. Now I'm going to run in and rescue you.
No, that's
it's amazing that he had the most touches of any of the midfielders in the first half, I believe. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. I think Gigi's got to avoid every time. Martino and Gianluca would know best. Every time he holds the ball, I feel like a player is about to kill him. Like seriously,
I could go first on it. Yeah.
I feel like someone's gonna kill him one day. Like for how long he holds the ball, and then when he distributes it, it's either right to a player.
He thinks he could drop a dime with his feet, like a dime pass, like Pirlo used to. Like, and it's always
he's not
off.
Buffon. He's not Buffon. I'm sorry.
They were neither terrific with their feet, but at least Buffon made smart decisions. It's not like he was a great passer. He did like Gigi's such an idiot sometimes, and it almost cost us Champions League. Yeah.
Who was our best passer? Who would you think was our best passer? Gianluca Pagliuca. I used to love to say that guy's name, man. That guy's name was awesome.
You know, it's funny. He was like I grew up on Pagliuca. Like he was my favorite back in the day. But honestly, I don't think I understood the game enough back then to know if he was a good. And also, like the game was so different. I don't think keepers like in the '90s played nearly as much with their feet. So he might have been shit with his feet.
That was like a Barca thing.
He made some great saves back in the day.
That was in an era where you could pass it back to the keeper. They could pick it up. Now they can't. So,
Yeah.
Oh, 1992, man. I was reading about that in Zonal Marking, man. My God.
Yeah, great book. Yeah, that's where they explain like Cruyff was the one who started with the goalkeepers playing at their feet because he's like, we have 11 guys on the field. We might as well use another guy for that, and that's when like start coming out like as a sweeper. No one's been better than Neuer at it. But again, I mean, listen, you stop the shots like Gigio does. Like, I mean. Again, but still, like it's inexcusable.
And Jerry, you gave me your starting 11 prediction. Give me your prediction on the game as well, because we'll go around everybody with that. Because I think the starting 11 predictions will probably be pretty quick, because it'll be the same or similar to last game. But Jerry, how do you see it playing out, man? Who wins?
Italy. I've gone with Italy every game. I've gone through the beginning. I'm not changing my opinion. This whole fucking home crowd bullshit. To throw that out the door, man, it means shit to me. 60,000 fans at home, they're going to be fucking riling them up. I think at the end of the day, having home 60,000 fans is just not – it's good, but it's just as bad. A lot of pressure. You have to make sure that look at the minute they conceded a goal. There was panic in that 9 minutes, and we're very fortunate to tie the game. They were never impressive – like consistently throughout the game.
Best game was away from Wembley.
I'm just not convinced about this whole home crowd. I think that benefits Italy a lot because there's no pressure on them. Who would they have to impress? Like they're gonna go in and they're gonna be like it's us, David versus Goliath, basically. That's what it is here. And at the end of the day,
Goliath was 5'2",
yeah. The fans don't play the game. They don't dictate the game. They just give you the momentum. And even though they had the momentum, they still didn't play well. In the first half hour, who was the better team? Denmark. It looked like Denmark was the home team, and they came out stronger. I think that Italy's going to come mentally prepared. They're going to rebound after not. You know what? It wasn't a bad game by Spain. It was a. Carlo Garganese said it perfectly on the phone to me today. He said it perfect. He said they were outplayed by a better team. That's all it was. It wasn't like Italy was poor against Spain. They were just outmatched by a much better team on the day, and that's it. So I think that Italy will be much better than England come Sunday, and this will come. I think it can be a similar performance to against Belgium. Right? And the biggest takeaway from this game, I think, is that we're going to control possession again. And that's the biggest. I don't see an England side pressing Italy like Spain was able to press Italy. They don't have that kind of speed in the midfield where they're able to attack for 90 minutes plus and have an Elmo kind of guy or a Pedri where they're just constantly going at you and retrieving the ball. And that was the biggest issue with Italy last game, was that their speed, their ability to attack you all the time was able to just regain possession. And their coach said that we're never going to give you the ball. What's his name? Luis, whatever the fuck his name
Enrique?
is. Enrique.
I couldn't remember it earlier either. Yeah.
He said before the game, we're not going to give Italy the possession. We're going to control the possession, and we're going to make them have to like defend, and we're just going to chase them down all the time. And I see that the midfield, like I said before, I see a 2-1 game.
So I want to go to Rafa next. Do you see any changes to the starting 11, and what's your prediction for the scoreline?
I don't see any changes. I actually really want to comment on how great Di Lorenzo has been.
Yes.
He's just been a phenomenal player. He got up to a really slow start for Napoli this season, but he finished so strong. I mean, he can run up and down that pitch like no other. And it's cool to see, I'm gutted about Spinazzola because he's fantastic. He was the best player for Italy for sure. I still think he gets on an all 11. You know what I mean? Notwithstanding the fact that he missed the last game, he's going to miss the final. But I really do like Emerson on that side. I was a bit nervous because Emerson hadn't played much, but he did get the start against Wales. And, Jerry said, though, that, Insigne played every game except for Wales. Wales, we had the group wrapped up. I mean, we were qualified. So it was a perfect opportunity for him to start 8 different players to see what we had. And that's where Verratti came in. So, yes, Locatelli versus Verratti. When Verratti's fully fit, that was a game that Mancini could afford to see, okay, is Verratti fully fit? Can he play in a big pressure situation? Yes. Okay, let's do it. So no changes for me. You go with what you got. I mean, Chiesa should start given the situations. I think Berardi starting for the first 5 matches or 4 matches was fine, but now Chiesa starting, it makes sense, given these situations. You start Immobile, you start Insigne. I mean, for me, it's like Jerry. He's biased for Immobile. I'm really biased for Insigne. When Insigne comes off the pitch, I feel a little bit down, but that's because he's one of my favorite players. He's Napolitan. He plays on Napoli. But I really do feel like Italy loses a little bit of spark when he does come off. But at the same time, he tires too. And you have to, make the right decisions for the team. So I understand it. You know what I mean? But you play the 11 that got you there. I'm happy with every single player on the team. I have no real qualms except for, yes, that Donnarumma wasn't really distributing that well, but he made up for it with the saves. And my prediction for the match is 3-1 Italy.
Love it.
I think Italy's going to score first, and I think England aren't going to know what to do. I really don't. If you ask me, if it wasn't for Raheem Sterling, England wouldn't even be in the quarterfinals. If it wasn't for Raheem Sterling, England wouldn't have finished first in their group. So if we can contain Raheem Sterling, which I'm very confident that our defense can, then it's like Jerry said, it's a midfield game, and there's no better midfield in the whole world right now. In the whole world, you could have argued France's midfield, not anymore.
Right.
Italy's midfield is even if you take out Verratti, put in Locatelli, or you take out. Jorginho, put in Locatelli, whoever you want. For me, you never take Jorginho out. Sorry, you never do. But,
I agree.
But yeah, 3-1, same lineup as the semifinal. Go get him. Forza Italia.
I love it. What about you, Gianluca? Do you think the starting 11 stays the same, untouched? And what's your prediction?
Yeah, I think the starting 11 would stay untouched. I feel like what Jerry was saying before about Immobile, I think he should stay up top as a starter. I think that one of the problems is he's not getting the proper service. Either a ball's too far, a ball's too short. He's making right tactical movements in between the lines, behind the defenders. The goal Chiesa scored was thanks to Immobile, right? And it might have been, people might have not seen it because they see the Chiesa goal, but I think Immobile should get the start. I think if there is to be a substitution up top, it's bad to say, but I'm not a Belotti fan. I know a lot of Milanists are. I think putting Raspadori up top, although he hasn't played, I think he came on as a sub for one of the games. And like Jer said, once again, you don't make changes right now and you don't test the waters on a final game. But I think he would give problems to the England defenders. But besides that, yeah, I would keep the tactics the same. As I said, England is fast-paced. So is Spain, right? So I see our defense being very, very well put together and we'll be able to contain them. So I'm hoping to see Italy go through. But we'll see what happens with reffing decisions and all that as well, right?
Well said.
Yeah.
Martino, what about you? You keep the starting 11 intact from last game, and what's your prediction?
Yeah, I think you keep the same thing. In even like the pace, the worst player that we faced for Di Lorenzo was Doku, and then even then it was just it was really just a half that he played well. Second half, Di Lorenzo adjusted perfectly fine, forced him to cut on his right side because he wanted to go in on his left to go cross the ball in because that guy cannot shoot, and it was obvious he couldn't finish. Even Sterling today, you saw as well. He got in, he had some opportunities, but his finishing was terrible. So if he's able to prevent him from doing that, I think that's fine. I think Saka would be a little bit of a worry for Palmieri, but the good thing is there's some familiarity there because Chelsea, Arsenal. So I think that helps. The only issue is just Jack Grealish is the only guy that worries me. The matchup if Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice play the way that they play today against our midfield, they're not going to score a goal. They're not going to see the ball. They're not going to have any opportunities. And especially with Harry Kane. Harry Kane's not going to be able to do anything either. And the one thing that I want to see is Harry Kane. If Harry Kane has to drop back more than he would like to, then that helps out Chiellini and Bonucci. Because if they don't have to worry about Harry Kane there, then they're able to help out the fullbacks with those two wingers pushing up on the sides. So for me, I'm fine with it. Maybe it'll be a quick hook for Immobile, depending on body language and, just what his involvement is. I do see Berardi probably getting a chance because he was actually playing well with that link up. For me, I think you could put Insigne as a 10. I think he's that good of a distributor. And his left foot is better than a lot of people like to give him credit for. And his distribution is top, in my opinion. So I think it's all that. The only thing, again, as well, Barella, you have to start him, but
yeah,
he did look tired. He's been inconsistent. He was a little inconsistent this tournament, but when he was on, he's on. But hey, man, you play in a condensed season like that at his age under Conte, like you're gonna be tired. So I think 2-0 ultimately, because I don't know. Pickford does not scare me either. It just. There's a lot of chances that England have given up to, even when their midfielders play well. Germany had amazing chances and opportunities in that game. Scotland had their opportunities. They could not finish because their striker is dog shit, as Jerry would like to say. So I think there's an opportunity there. And Jerry, I hope you record just anything after Immobile scores because I think there he actually will. And I hope for his sake too. It just puts to bed everything else. Because if Immobile scores in a final and Italy win, then that's a great sign for Qatar.
It's over.
I know that's looking ahead.
I'm gonna. I already mentioned definitely.
Hold on, Pickford's a good goalkeeper. The problem with Pickford, Pickford is not great in the EPL. Someone told me he's a fantastic goalkeeper in the EPL. I don't think so. He's not. He makes a lot of mistakes, and we saw that today against Denmark. But when it's Euros World Cup, he's a whole different brand new goalkeeper. I don't get it. Yeah, like he is amazing. This is one guy I don't want to face in the Euros, but at the end of the day, he has the tendency of making a big mistake. That's the difference between him and Gigi Donnarumma. Is Gigi Donnarumma makes a mistake, he will make up with a big save. I don't know about Pickford at times where if he makes a mistake, his mistakes are very noticeable. And he was lucky today. I remember one pass he made just outside the box.
Yeah.
And like they should have scored Denmark. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it was a wrong pass. He should have made, I think, to the guy on the left or something. But
Pickford right in the center of the box at the top.
Pickford gave at least the ball away 4 times today.
John Stones doesn't even look that good either. That defense is mostly Maguire and Kyle Walker. I mean, Shaw's been good too, but I think John Stone's the guy you got to go bully and attack.
No, you're right. He doesn't look good.
I'll round off the predictions. It's just something I feel like we've had an unusual amount of extra time games in this tournament. So I am going to predict Italy to win, and it's only going to feel even sweeter because I think it's going to happen in extra time. I'm not going to go penalties for this one. I know we're going to have nerves of steel to go through another extra time game, but I am going to go with Italy for the W 2-1 in extra time. I agree with Martino and Jerry. I think Immobile is going to score. He'll score Italy's first goal. I'm thinking with England, like it's not going to be Sterling. It's not going to be Harry Kane. It's going to be like Harry Maguire on a header from a set piece or something. It's going to be I could see him scoring. And then I'm going to go a little off the wall for the game winner in the extra time. I think Domenico Berardi is going to score the extra time game because fresh legs. Like he looked really lively in the extra time in the semifinal against Spain. Like he had one, he was clearly offside and it was the right call, but he had that awesome
looked like the
finish.
goat's goal.
Yeah. Oh man, that would have like if he hadn't have been offside, that would have just been a spectacular goal and a spectacular finish. So I don't know. I feel like Berardi is going to be the hero in this one. So I'm going to go 2-1 Italy in extra time. So hey, we'll get 30 minutes of free football at the end of it, so it's going to be good. I want to wrap it up by giving everybody on the panel, and you guys
hold on.
Job.
I don't agree with Brooklyn Raw. I just saw this quote right now. Emerson going to have a tough time with Sterling. I don't agree. We all doubted Emerson against Spain, and he
was wonderful against Spain.
Yeah, I think
wonderful against Spain.
I think the biggest takeaway with Emerson is that he got 70 minutes against Spain. And like we said before, you want to do that trial and error and testing and everything before the finals. And he got that pregame kind of warm up, get his game. He got some game into him. And I think that's really big going into the finals now because I think that you can get 90 minutes out of him now because he was able to get some fitness level up. So I think that it's huge.
Emerson Di Lorenzo at Napoli next season, baby. I can't wait. We're gonna sign this guy, and it's gonna.
I don't give a fuck about Napoli right now. What is this
I'm watching
Azzurri right now.
2 reasons. The Azzurri is all on my mind, but when Emerson was on that pitch, the 1-2s between him and Insigne, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great next season."
I can't wait till Felipe Anderson gets a fucking brace against Napoli next year.
Get the fuck out of here, Felipe Anderson.
Oh man! So huge shout out to everybody. Hey, I'll let everybody give shout outs to your work and where they can find you. Martino, where can people find you? Your writing, your shows, all that good stuff.
You could follow me on Twitter at Martino Puccio. It's just the at right here on the screen. I think it should be up. And then you just follow the work on The Athletic. I don't know if the piece will be open for it. That should be. I have to write everything tomorrow for the game. So I had Italy as the best pick for to win the tournament. So I've been there too. We call this the Renaissance era. I called it a couple of years ago. So with Azzurri fan Phil, I know he didn't get along. I'm sorry, Jerry, if I riled you up there, but it was a conversation who was with. I apologize.
I don't even care anymore. That was just I
just wanted to preface by saying I apologize.
Why? I don't hate the guy.
Okay.
Listen, when we wear this, it doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Okay.
Matter.
No. I just want to make sure.
No, there's no hatred here, man.
He's
going to end up eventually. He'll end up on this show because we've had we've had people and we've had so many great panelists on the show. But dude, there have been times where we've had like people that were enemies and they've ended up on the show and truces have been made. So I'm sure it can happen again.
Yeah, and you could just the State of Play podcast is just it covers like the top 5 leagues, like Portuguese leagues sometimes, and leagues like that, and then MLS. If you're interested in that, I'm not gonna plug any Milan stuff, the Milan reports, but like that's if you
we don't.
It doesn't look like anyone. Yeah, exactly. I don't want Jerry mad at me for that. So
well, I don't even care. Honestly, I'm very easy-going. I can do whatever you want to do.
I know.
What you gotta say, man? What? Roma, fuck them.
Don't put Roma. That's all I'm saying, man. See, that's why I don't want to trigger you.
I'm okay with Steven when he's on. He can promote Roma.
It's okay, Jared. Like half of them have blocked me already for calling them small clubs, so it's all right.
Who, Roma?
They hate
a couple of Roma fans.
They're a small club, though.
Yeah, I mean, but nothing triggers them more than. I mean, so are Lazio, but I mean, nothing triggers them more than that.
Lazio. I wish our club was in 300 million debt and somehow was to show for something for that. Like, come on. Seriously, you're
being in 300 million debt. It's awesome. We should all do it. It's so much fun.
Isn't it sad though? And you're a club of 300 million debt and you have fucking nothing to show for but a tree. A fucking bonsai tree.
Oh, are they really in that? I thought you were talking about Inter. Roma are in that much debt?
Yeah, Roma is in
Inter's like double.
Roma is 200. No, but Inter's in a different scenario. Okay, their owners.
Our debt has debt.
Yeah, their debt has debt. Roma's debt didn't equate to a Scudetto like Inter did. At least they won a Scudetto. What the fuck have they done since 2008, Roma? Honestly, like. The last time I read was they had 260 million in debt, and you don't have you should have Messi on your fucking team.
You don't even have a Coppa Italia to show.
They don't even have Champions League appearances anymore. That's been like 3-4 years.
That's my newest banter. I gotta tweet that tomorrow. That's my new banter.
I love it. We got that one. Well, what about you, Rafa? You do awesome work, man. Where can people find you?
Dude, you see my Twitter handle down here, Raffanopoli83. Martino and I have gotten into it a few times, but I really do love him and his work, and we have.
It was a misunderstanding on one thing. That's all it was.
No, but
fucking
it's all
Habs
good.
are losing. For fuck's sake.
What else is new? Come on. No, but honestly, yeah, hit me up on Twitter. I love to argue. I love to, banter. I love to chat. I just love it. I love it all. I really do love everybody. I got this one guy, Jonathan, who's a huge England fan. He lives out there. He's from there. Big Napoli fan. But him and I have been at it all summer long, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful.
Love it.
We can't stand each other this summer. Far from Vesuvius, check us out. Raf and Raf Rant with my buddy Raf Buzzado. That's always fun. We go on live. We take calls sometimes. We have a very interactive show. Yeah, man, just check me out there, and that's it, really.
So awesome stuff as always, and Gianluca has basically become a regular here, and we always appreciate you, man. Where can people find you?
Thank you. You can follow me on Twitter at glombardi85. Huge Milan fan, but I love discussing all teams, any team in any league. So yeah, follow me at glombardi85. Thank you.
And Jerry, I'm sure between now and Sunday, you're probably going to publish 17 different stories. Where can people find you and find your work?
Rob, we're never going to have a fucking Juve panelist. You're fucking crazy, okay?
We have before, haven't we? We've had Juve panelists on, but it's been
that was suicide then.
Well,
I can't see his name because he doesn't like me anymore. He don't follow me, that guy. I don't know. I don't know what I did wrong to him, man. You know what I'm talking about.
I do, but we know other people. I mean, we had Carlo on a couple weeks ago. He's very impartial, but he is a Juve fan.
Never knew he was a Juve fan, eh?
You didn't know that?
That's a good thing. I knew he was a Juve fan at that, but he is very impartial. It's hard to tell, which is a good thing.
Yeah, he is impartial.
I never knew he was a fucking Juve fan.
Unlike Jerry and I, he tries to stay very professional.
Yeah, no. One Juve fan for some reason doesn't like me for no reason, but whatever. Shit happens. Can't have everybody like you. I actually wrote about Di Lorenzo on the previous game that should be out tomorrow. It hasn't been out yet. Stephen Moore has been busy, but I think he's gonna publish it tomorrow. But it's exactly what Rafa said about how Di Lorenzo's probably been one of the most surprising stories in the Euros, and I give him props for this article because I kind of drifted away from any Lazio player because I have nothing to write for anymore. I've given up. I've either have mushed them or something. I wrote about who should start, Immobile or Belotti. Maybe didn't. There's nothing I can say. Like it just didn't benefit me. Yeah, Mariki, $20 million.
Down the fucking drain.
We could have bought fucking Damsgaard, for God's sake. Honestly, we need a winger. We could have bought Damsgaard. Who do we got? $10 million Fades and $20 million Marici. Well, along those lines. We could have bought Damsgaard for $30 million.
I sent him off. I apologize.
Like, no, but like,
it
blows my mind because we need a winger. 4-3-3. Damsgaard's there. You buy, like, we get a young player. We're the oldest squad in Serie A. Did you know that? We're the oldest fucking squad in Serie A, and somehow we managed to finish top 6 against a fucking team that has a debt up their ass. I don't get it, man. Jerry, so easy to rile up. I love it. Yeah.
All you have to do is say Morici, and boom, off to the races.
Morici, man. Oh my God. I'd rather have kept Bastos last summer and fucking use him as a striker. Me, man. Like,
oh, man.
Oh, it's well, we'll see what happens next year. I hope we don't. And the last thing is, I hope Correa does not go to Paris Saint-Germain. That team.
Everybody else is, right? Why not?
I would bet my life, okay, that PSG does not win the Champions League next season. I will bet my life. I think Bayern Munich will have players back in their lineup. They'll have. I think they were missing a few key players when they played Paris Saint-Germain.
They didn't have Lewandowski when they played him.
Yeah, right. I don't think they have Alphonso Davies either. I think he was out as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think I saw
Lucas Hernandez got hurt too, actually, so he had surgery, so they might miss him a little bit.
I do live in Woodbridge. I do. Anybody who wants to meet up at Market Lane on Sunday, if Italy wins, I will show up to Market Lane finally. It's been a superstition where I do not want to celebrate after a game anymore until they actually win it, and then I can actually be happy for something. It can't be. I'm not 16 anymore, where I can like go and celebrate fucking opening game where we beat fucking whoop-de-doo first game, and we're gonna win the tournament when there's 6 more games to go, and it's like the fun's over. I'll be there first time. You're gonna have a blast. Just heads up: do not park or drive by Islington. It's going to be a disaster. Try to like.
We're getting traffic tips now.
No, they're going to shut. You can't get in from Woodbridge Avenue to Islington. They shut it down because there's just no way to get in. I think Gianluca probably knows too.
Jerry's up there, the traffic chopper right now. We're over Toronto.
People told me.
Big build up, big pile up on the highway.
Wow, got to Photoshop that.
Maybe Gianluca is fortunate too. I'm going to park at my parents' house and just walk up there.
That's what I did last game. Worked at my parents. Everything was closed from Islington to Kipling, so I just walked it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like maybe 15 minutes walk for me. My brother-in-law's family is actually selling jerseys and stuff down the street because they own an actual like jacket leather company, or they used to. They have so much stuff left over, so they've been at the Nino D'Aversa in the parking lot, and they've been selling it. Nino D'Aversa basically is a bakery. It's like one of the most well-known bakeries here. Yeah, you guys got to come to Toronto for fucking Euros, man. Where you guys live?
If I start driving now, I think I'll be there in like 45 hours or something. So I'll get in the car.
95, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen,
you guys need Italian citizens, man. What the fuck do you guys? New Jersey, you should have some, man. Don't they make?
I'm not from Jersey, man. Everyone thinks that. No,
I think it's because you like the New Jersey Devils. What a shit team.
Yeah, that's probably that's the only reason.
What a fucking shit team, eh? Fucking garbage.
Oh man. Oh well. Listen, we had a great time. You guys can follow me, my personal Twitter at Alex Donno. Make sure you follow the show as well. We follow back. We built a nice community of Calcio fans. So follow the show on Twitter at CalcioConPod. We follow everybody back, even porn bots, especially porn bots. We follow those back. And make sure you check out, not only do we do these episodes on the main channel live on YouTube, you can also catch the podcast replays. Just search Calcio Connection on every platform: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, all the podcast platforms. Just search Calcio Connection. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and subscribe to our Patreon channel. That's usually left up to my Inter content. So if you're not an Interista, you may not be so into the Patreon, but if you are, you'll probably be into it, because I do at least 5 times a week. I do daily doses of Inter, transfer news rundown, stuff like that. And we're running a special on the Patreon this month, where every dime that comes in through pledges until August 4th will be donated in full. 100% of it will be donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So, and that includes existing subscribers. If you've subscribed for weeks or months, whenever it rolls over this month, we're going to donate that in full to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So if you're not there for Inter, come in for the kids, man. So huge time. Thanks again to all of our panelists, Martino, Gianluca, Rafa, Jerry, of course, my co-host. Everybody was fantastic. Everybody who tuned in, thank you so much. Forza Azzurri. We will talk to you guys maybe even before Sunday, if not shortly after the game Sunday. We'll talk to you guys next time on another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. Ciao.
Fangulo.